please join me right now in welcoming to the mic Dr. Alveda King.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, and to the distinguished panel. Everything that I'm hearing, I am in agreement with. Reparations are so necessary. That begins with the apology, but so much more is required. I am the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I have a dream. It's in my genes. My dad is his brother. They're in heaven with Daddy King and Mama King, and many of our family members, Reverend Alfred Daniel Williams King. So I come from a family of ministers and pastors. I marched. I went to jail. I was in our home when it was bombed. I have visited Africa and gone into the slave caverns. I asked our guide, an African man, I said, how could they get us out of here with a few guns when we owned this continent? He says, well, some of our own brothers and sisters with skin like ours helped that process. If you look at the story Amazing Grace or study Wilbur Wilberforce, who is a man over in Europe who devoted his life to ending the slave trade, and his own counterparts, white people who laughed at him, ridiculed him, told him he was crazy, Wilberforce spent his whole life. That song, Amazing Grace, which came from a former slave master, slave trader, who took the ship into Africa and brought the people back. And he said, God, forgive me. And so much has to be done with reparation. As I was in that slave cavern, I could feel the spirits of the slaves. It was absolutely terrible. And so having experienced segregation myself, having the home bomb, being locked up and all that, we were in the house. Daddy, A.D. King, was a major civil rights leader as well. And he is primarily responsible for the open housing movement that allowed us to even buy houses where we wanted to in America. So do your homework. Do your homework. As far as the economy right now, I have a little note coming out. I hope it's in the news real soon. And I said, the Wall Street bailout, what about the hometown bailout? What about the little girls who are pregnant? And I don't want to hear that they think they need to abort their babies because they can't pay their rent. I don't want to hear that. We've got to do something. What about that newlywed couple, the little young man and the young lady who are starting out? And they may even be faced with foreclosure before they can start on their honeymoon almost. We've got to do something, so I surely agree. The concept of reparations for slavery is important and timely. It's important, obviously, because of the grave evil that slavery was and the impact it has had on America. It is timely because, as my uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. once said, the time is always right to do what is right. Reparation means to repair, to make amends. The ultimate purpose and goal of reparation should be reconciliation. My concern is that any proposal for reparation be aimed towards reconciliation, and it definitely is, and I do fully support the effort of reparation. It is important that we have a historical context to the issue of slavery and understand that the battle over slavery, oppression, and segregation was not white versus black, but right versus wrong. There are no separate races divided by skin color. We're one race, human. My uncle called it the beloved community. Racism is a lie. When you divide human beings according to skin color, you end up with the problems that we are facing now. It was not whites who did the evil to blacks. It was racist people who took us into war, where actually there were about 300,000 whites who gave their lives to end slavery. I don't know if we remember that, but in the real war, a lot of white folks died to end slavery as well.